All right, I think we're live. G'day, everyone. Back with another out of cycle video. This one's a little bit different. Today, we're going to be going through some of the hits and misses of the 2026 pre-draft season. So basically, looking at my final board that I had there, and some of the things I got right and some of the things I definitely got wrong, and kind of what the story behind some of those things are, and then hopefully look at like what we can learn from that. So I've got my good mate Griff on board to kind of just share his thoughts, especially around what next year holds. The beauty of that is Griff didn't get too affected by the rule changes or the stats changes, whereas me and some of the fellas in my league, oh, not my league, so to speak, but sort of my community, we kind of really wanted to adapt to the new stats provider that was dumped on us 2 weeks before we got into it. So it was a bit of a rush thing. So the format is just going through just some of the key guys that were hits and misses in no particular order, generally a few from each position where it makes sense. There's nothing crazy like that. So if you enjoy your draft stuff and you just love talking about it, hearing people talk about picks and misses, and then really if you're just kind of wrapping the season up and preparing for next year, I think this video will scratch that itch around sort of the broader draft discussion and what we've learned. So just bring up this screen here, guys. This is just a bit of a summary. I'm just going to read this through really quickly. Basically, we had the new stats provider dumped on us 2 weeks out from draft day and classic season and stuff kickoff. It might have been 3 weeks, but it felt like 2. The data suggested that base was going to be up, and we knew that because it was the NRL provider, and they count third man in tackles far more leniently. Guns we figured would still be decent from the data we saw, and we thought centers would get a boon off the last pass changes where try assists were really that last touch as opposed to them being a bit more creative in reading who made the sweep and the overlap and giving those hookers try assists right close to the line that sometimes didn't really get them. And this was actually true, except what we didn't know and couldn't foresee was that 6 again's basically tripled this season, especially at the start. It's come back a little bit. It's kind of gone back to like 1.8 double in the last few weeks as opposed to 2025, but the start was just disgusting. And that meant ball was in play for way longer. Griff and I spoke about that a lot in the first 12 weeks where we did a few videos reviewing teams and bits and pieces. There was more fatigue. Halves and fullbacks went ballistic. If you've seen my content on Instagram recently, I've sort of shown the trends in the opening weeks and then kind of these recent weeks where fullbacks have really surged home and are hitting what I call meaningful scores of 70 plus. Sadly, my rankings and draft strategy did lean towards high base power and flashes of upside as opposed to just going all ballistic on the upside. So, unfortunately for me, I got my drafts relatively wrong without being disastrous. And just right up top, I'll say I'm in finals for both my main comps. One's the community league, which is obviously really tough because it's drafting against people that watch my content and have found the community through my content. So that's pretty brutal. I have to get pretty creative and pretty weird in there. But I'm top of the table and making finals for that. And I'm top of the table and making finals for my personal league. So, I use my board. And I will say my draft rankings, there's only one other person I know who's used it since I've made draft rankings for the past 6 years. And in those 6 years, him or I have the minor premiership in my comp every single year since I've started doing a draft board for him to use. And the reason he uses it, he lives overseas. I have to help him because it's just too busy for him sort of thing. So, my draft rankings aren't by any means perfect. Definitely not perfect as you'll see today, but, they're decent and they're around risk management as opposed to like just being a salesman and just going, yeah, hell yeah, Latrell pick 3, Herbie pick 2, go for it, blah, 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 which all can make sense if you get lucky. But I really try to give people a high floor so they have a better season, have more enjoyment. So that's sort of the summary, guys. The first miss, Payne Haas. I was big on paying up for Payne Haas. In the community league, I stood on business. I think I had pick 2 and I took him pick 2. And that didn't really pay off. But if we just look a little bit at what's happened this season, he did have a new injury. And he did obviously go off to Origin. That obviously impacted his value from a week-to-week basis. But if we look at the difference between rounds 1 through 27 last year and the rounds 1 to 22 this season, he's actually kind of improved. He's actually creating quite a bit more, and he's still an elite runner. He's just not an outlier when it comes to running. And looking back at some of his games, yeah, and some of the stats around Payne, it's just he played less minutes last year with more impact, and it just comes down to offloading more than anything. He just put that arm away, and the injury has limited his power game and stuff like that. But his yardage, his line breaks, and his creation, the offloads and stuff, still pretty significant. He's still pretty much the best front rower in the game. It just hasn't panned out accordingly just due to minutes and the team that they're trotting out there. Sorry, when I say minutes, that's actually a lie. I meant to say games played, so to speak. He just hasn't had that runway to really deliver, but it was an absolute miss because I was high on him as a top 3 pick anywhere you wanted. Didn't necessarily love him at 1. I was probably still kind of going Teddy Cleary at 1, but I definitely had him as a top guy, and I've got to own that because of what we saw the year before. I thought, wow, if base is increasing and this guy has that line break, offloading upside with base increasing, how can he not be, if he was like a top 3 player last year, more or less, the number 1 guy or up there? So I got that majorly wrong. I'll just double check I don't have another slide on Payne. Yeah, this is what I want to talk about. The base is up by 4 points, which isn't heaps, but look at the evade and the creation has dropped so much this year. Just that offloading and tackle busting with that knee injury that has hampered him has really dipped. But what I wanted to show you is 2026 games, 75 minutes. The average is still nearly 82. It's 81.6 when he's playing that 75 minute and up. There's a few injury games and stuff impacting his score for this year. So it's not the end of the world, but when we clean that data, we get 9 games, a ceiling of 103, which just isn't enough compared to the year before, but a floor of 68, which is really quality. That's decent. So it's a miss, but there's a lot of stuff that wasn't foreseeable with Payne Haas. And probably the lesson from me, Griff, is taking guys at a new price off a career year like Walsh and Haas is just not advisable. Just focus more on a sweet spot for them and just bake in a little bit a comeback, because a career year is hard to repeat. I know you'll have some thoughts, mate. What are your thoughts on this one, this miss?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the whole career year, bounce back year. Yeah, I mean, Payne Haas, I mean, he's been doing this for pretty much his whole career, though. So, look, you get unlucky with some injuries this season compared to last season. I mean, the season before that, he had a bit of injuries as well. So he sort of just, sort of like 2024 version, basically, of Payne Haas. But, I mean, after last season, he sort of had to be in at least the top 5 picks, probably. I wouldn't have went him in the top 5 because I just, front rowers, even ones as good as Payne Haas, I just feel like, me personally, the way I play the game, I just want that. I want more upside. If I was number 1, though, I probably would have went Reece Walsh, which would have really, really hurt.
Yeah.
But the way he finished last season, you just wouldn't have thought that he would have done a season like this. Yeah,
100%.
So, but with Payne, it's going to be tough because he goes to the Rabbitohs next year. It used to be a thing where front rowers go to Wayne Bennett and they become average, but I don't think he will do that with Payne Haas as in minute wise, because he's already got Keon Kolomatangi doing sort of that big minute front rower anyway. So they're basically just going to swap, and Payne's probably just going to continue to dominate like he does. So still probably back end first round for me next year, but we'll
I think he's just a value player. I think we're going to see a lot of sharp players, so like really fade him, and then it'll be where's the value. And we just got to look at this little summary here, right? Like 24, 49 base, 26, 58. That's the new tackles. That's his minutes.
Yeah.
So if the minutes come back, expect that base to drop down to 54. What's not coming back is the offloading. So we might see a bit more of that evade if Wayne gives him some smaller minutes with more impact focus, right? And there's no knee injury and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just going to net out at where he is as a something between a 70, I said 74 average before. I meant to say 80, 82. We're going to see him, I think, just being somewhere above 75 and beneath 85, and therefore back of 1, mid 2 is the value. Mid 2 is the value if you kind of get a gun like a Nicho or a Cleary and come back and get a Haas. Not the end of the world, but the game's played, man. He's going to be doing the origin thing again. Bunnies can't keep their guys fit, so I expect an injury or 2. So again, it's just going to be a risk. Someone's going to take a risk and either get a really above average front rower who they can captain if they have to, or they're going to get just a mediocre guy, kind of like that isn't going to do enough to win leagues. In the 6 again era, which we're in now, his like impact doesn't really change. Whereas I think high upside players do continue to kind of have leaks in defense as momentum builds. And I think as a result, I think back into 1, definitely 2, mid 2 for someone like Payne. Just depending on your build and your appetite, you could find value in him and kind of really go for it and stack the base guys if you want to do it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm okay to miss on Payne. As you said, just what he did the year before, I couldn't say no. And I didn't know that, things had changed for the Broncos and his knee injury and stuff. And the minutes, if you told me he played, when you clean for like injuries, if you said, Payne's averaging 75, I'm taking him 1 again. I thought he'd not average 70, so it's a tough one.
Yeah.
All right. So Nicho, I had to pay for Nicho as a hit. And my logic was he had sort of had quite a year the year before, 76 average, 76 average, and played a lot of games. And I love that he played a lot of games. He didn't have any major buys in finals. So I was big on just the fact he wouldn't play Origin and he'd just be there for you. Trindle coming in has really changed the people's thinking of Nicho, and I think the sentiment got a bit carried away. What I didn't expect was the average he's on now. So if you see, I've just got in grey 20 games and 94 average next to the other values, because right now he's at 16 games played. I think he'll play minimum the next 4. He might get injured, but so I'm just trying to say it'll be somewhere between 16 and 20, and the average could come down with a few low games. So somewhere his average will end somewhere between 104 and 94, maybe even more if he delivers on the matchups. I didn't have that baked in. I think I had him, I'll just check if there's another slide. No, I didn't. But I think I had his average at like, 78 or something, maybe in my board. But I really liked Nicho as a guy that I wasn't that low on. And I felt like he would just be there for me, giving me an average of, 76, 78 and play through Origin. So I felt a bit disingenuous because I didn't draft him in my home league, but I play an auction and someone paid way overs for him. But I traded for him literally like a few days after the auction because I wanted him. So it was like I drafted him outside of the draft, but it didn't feel real. It didn't feel like I drafted him because I was like, I want him. He's high on my list, but the price he went for in the moment, I went, okay, I can't even do that. But because the guy obviously kind of cooked his draft by paying for some big names, I easily got the trade and got my target at the end. So I luckily had him, and I'm happy with that. Much to say on him, mate?
No, not really. I mean, I guess the only thing I'll add with Nicho is, and I'll probably a lot of people will like this as well. The Sharks were just always that team that can get in the top 4, can get to the finals, but everybody just thought, they're never going to win a comp or anything like that. I think you did an article or something on Instagram recently about how the Sharks back rowers have actually changed the way that they've played this year.
Yep.
So obviously that was a big focus on them actually changing the way that they play to now accommodate their squad. Whereas everybody just assumed, like, you've got the same squad, how's anything going to be any different? But they actually have made adjustments. They've made a different way of playing. So that's actually freed Nicho up a little bit.
Yep.
You don't see that sort of thing in a preseason, or, you can't premonition that sort of stuff.
No.
But yeah, he's doing what he's done, 4 or 5 years ago. Like, he averaged 100, in his first year at the Sharks, I think. So,
exactly.
He was definitely capable of it. Did I think he would do it? No, but yeah, he's proven it all wrong, and now he's got an amazing draw to end the season. So, yeah, happy days for Nicho owners.
Yeah, and just on Nicho, like with the draft board, the way I do it, I like to offer all my players on one snapshot rather than a link list 1 through 100, so to speak. I like to offer the tiers because live value shifts more than just a numerical 1 through 10 order. And I had Nicho right attached to Nathan Cleary on my final board. So even though I say I took Payne Haas second in the community league or whatever, Nicho was always a top 5-4 guy for me, and it was just about the value and the timing in different drafts. And in the community league, I kind of, out of a gimmick, took Payne Haas and before someone like Nicho or Nathan to stand on business to the guys and say, I'll go down with this ship for a bit of fun. But in my home league, I didn't take Payne Haas at the price he went, whereas I did go and trade for Nicho for a lot of bickies. So yeah, totally agree. And just on that post, guys, like Nicho, what's really changed is it's the running, the type of impact running. He's looking to kill teams. and that's that old
Yeah.
school Nicho that was making line breaks. Last year, he was far more docile, far more sat back, had some good games, but nothing
100%.
like what we've seen. And in tonight's video about waiver wires, I spoke again about him as a captaincy option. Like, he's just finding this platform, I should say, rather than base, where it's like goal kicking, running, tackling. He just needs one or two more things, and it goes through 100, and hence the average. But yeah, we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, more than happy with Nicho there. And I don't feel like a genius or anything, don't get me wrong, but it's important to know that he was right there with Cleary for me and right behind like Haas and stuff. So more than happy with him. Tate Campbell way above Jerome Hughes was a hit for me. Obviously, someone say, oh, well, that's obvious. Jerome Hughes only averaged 65 in 2025. But I think there was a good buzz around Jerome bouncing back and all this. I just didn't love it. I thought he'd be injury prone, which he actually has been okay. He's played 16 games this year, but just not for me, really. Loved Jaden. And again, this isn't me claiming I'm a genius, but I had him significantly higher ranked than someone like Jerome, which I think in the standard sort of what do you say, like the standard draft areas, I think most people probably would have had them really close, maybe even Jerome a bit higher off the year before, the 82 average with 2024, which was just massive. So yeah, I think I had a mate win the comp with Jerome in 2024. So I think there's a lot of vibes that he'd bounce back, blah, blah, blah. I just wasn't having it. And yeah, I faded him. And, he's last year, like, you drop out the injury games for Jerome, and it's my head's in the way, but it's 74. Like, it's not the 65 you see in that little graph there, guys. It's 74 when you take out the 3 really low injury impacted games. So people were reading that and going, hell yeah, but I faded him, and he has faded. He's giving you 68, which is 6 less points per game than that non-injury affected average the from last year. So pretty happy with that one. I'm going to just move through this one because I know you've probably got no issues there, Griff, if you don't mind. And obviously the finals bye made it also a bit easier.
Yeah.
Fade Kalyn Ponga was a huge miss for me, mate. Look, I had him projected at 76, so I knew if he played, there was still a quality player there, but it was nothing like this. So I didn't like the combo of his fixtures, meaning he'd play Origin, his health, and just had him way too low overall, really. And that was a huge, huge whiff. I think they're 13 games the year before, averaging 62. So he played like not a poor amount of games. He started hot 82, 129, and then he just went missing in 80-minute games for a huge period and finished with a major injury and didn't deliver in finals for anyone in draft. And I just didn't want to bar that. Then we look at this year, and he's just gone absolutely nuts, averaging 88.5 when he plays, noting he hasn't played super often. 7 games missed from round 2 to 9, and then he'd been littered in and out over Origin and recently just missed a couple of games. So he's a tough one, but I'll let you speak on a guy like him, knowing that you love upside guys like him. How did you see him coming in, mate?
Oh, I just seen huge, huge value, man. That's what I see with people like this, especially on a down year like that. Mate, if I could have got him on the way back in my league, which I actually believed I thought I would get him, because I think I was pick number 3 in a snake, and it was getting close to me, and then he literally got snaked at pick 5 or something like that, picked him instead of me. But yeah, I would have loved to have paired him in round 2 or round 3 for sure, because the type of player that he is, if he has a down year, that just screams value to me in the next season. You know what I mean? So and all this season does now for me is scream he's too high again. You know what I mean? So because really off the average that he's got this season, I mean, he's probably going to go top 4, top 5 again. Yeah, you know what I mean? And look, and you can look at even just from this year and last year, the amount of games he plays, that's what he does. You know what I mean? He just does not. He's just not healthy for a full season. So if you draft somebody like that, you need to have baked in value with it. So I thought if I could get him in round 2 or round 3, it didn't matter as much if I lost him for the certain amount of games that he's going to miss inevitably every year. But if I'm taking him in the first round, mate, it's so risky, because you're hooking your whole team to one player there. So I'll be wary next year. Put it that way.
Yeah, it was one of those ones where I just stood on business and said, I don't want an injury-prone guy in my team, so I'm going to rank him accordingly. And I feel like I hurt my community a little bit just by being a bit too harsh on it.
Yeah, but they came last as well. They did come
That's
last, and they
true. I
looked
forgot.
absolutely
Yeah.
cooked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they looked
They look
crap.
culturally
but
cooked. I
in
thought he
saying
quit
that,
the game.
yeah. Well, they basically just showed you that they did quit on Adam O'Brien, you know. So
True.
Holbrook's come in and they've changed their attitude and look at them. Like, to be honest, if they didn't get the injuries that they've had this year, they're probably top 4 easy.
Yep. Yeah, look,
So,
with Ponga,
yeah.
you nailed it. Like, just with next year, I think that's the case. He'll just go overs again, and you need to draft accordingly.
Yeah.
One thing I learned watching Ponga, which was and sort of we kind of knew this, but like he's just built for it, man. Like line breaks from his own half, tackle bust, goal kicking, like all that. Like, but he is that roller coaster, and some bloke in my league will pay way too much for him next year, and they'll be bottom half of the table scrapping for him. But if you're a sharp drafter, which most people listening to this will be and are, you get Ponga wherever you want him, because then you know you've got to get yourself Iongi, who'll be undervalued next year, and a few other dudes that could boom. And I want to just finish on one last little story, an anecdote. I had him right coming up to me in round 3, I think it was, of the community draft, and it was a clear just take Ponga. I didn't take him. I wanted to just have fun and stand on business with the boys, so I took Dave Fafita, which was obviously a really bad picking compared to Ponga. But guess what? That changed my psychology for fullback, and I took Sualauvi later. Man, if I take Ponga there, I don't take Sua, and I'm not doing very good in this draft because now I'm Haas, Harry Grant, and Ponga. I'm just cooked in Origin. But I took Sua because I didn't take a fullback. So you got to ask yourself sometimes, it's kind of like a blessing in disguise to whiff on something, because that was a game changer there, taking Sualauvi. But just a fun one. And on Sua, I had him faded, but it shows you that you take value, right? I wanted to talk about that leading into this because Sua was a guy I faded based on the year before, where he played several 80-minute games for an average of 56, bro, with 2 scores of 24 and 22, a score of 50 in there as well in 84 minutes. Just diabolical stuff. He was injured, hamstrings. This year he's had his hamstring bloody in compression every game and hasn't gone down. I don't know how, mate. It is a bizarre outlier season. I think he'll go overs a bit next year, but the year before in 2024 we saw flashes. He was brilliant, so I understood that. It's not my first rodeo, but I just faded him. I just went, he's got a finals bye. I don't know enough about him. I'll let someone else succeed there. Yet contextually, I'm not stupid. I use my board dynamically like most people, and I drafted him in the community league accordingly, and it hit. It could have easily not hit, right? Because that's the way it works. But I just didn't like the buy. Yeah, the data we had from 25 and the injury risk fear. Were you big on him, mate, or were you cautious?
No, like I probably had when it came to drafting, I probably overcooked the finals buys a little bit, because at the end of the day, you got to get to the finals first, and a lot of stuff can happen in between.
Totally agree.
But I would have still had my eye on Sualauvi in probably the 4th or the 5th round in my league, and he did go at the opposite end of the snake draft in mine anyway. So I thought he actually went a little bit early in my draft. Obviously, that ended up being a great pick, but it's just the fact that, I mean, you can look at what he's done in 2025, but Ryan Papenhuyzen was the fullback. You know what I mean? So, and he was the number 1 fullback. So really, coming into this season, this was his first opportunity to be the actual Storm number 1, and they were going to do a whole preseason with Sewer at the back. So, and obviously we've seen the talent and that. So, I liked value, but I was still probably high on him, to be fair. But he just went even higher than I expected. That's all.
Fine. Yeah, no, I'm happy to be wrong on him. Just doesn't suit my style to take him too early without knowing what he was. Someone else likes to play that way. I don't sort of play that way, but I got him in the league and it was epic. I think next year he might go a little overs. Like, it just seems like
he's going to definitely go
crazy
overs.
Year, man. I don't know.
He's been their best player though.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to mention, just while you said it, for people listening to prepare for next year, I definitely just over-indexed on finals buys too. We sort of do it when you're players like you and me and you nearly make finals every year. You kind of really go, well, shit, I can't not have that. But in hindsight, dude, you just take a bloke. Just deal with it. Find a way.
100%.
You'll trade them, or you'll get a
Yeah.
bye in finals, or they'll get injured. Just take the guys. Like, I'm just going to be a little softer on it next year. I'm still going to factor it in because it's important. It's a good tiebreaker,
Yeah.
but I just have to chill on that part, mate.
I think I'm gonna look at early schedules a lot more next year. I think because I think that plays a big part in how you can trade over the season as well.
Yeah,
Because if a
hot
guy
starts.
starts hot and hot starts, they can just be so easily sold.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And because everybody starts to believe the hype real early, and if they're slow starters, people they just want to get off straight away. If a guy hasn't performed in 3 or 4 weeks in my league, if it's round 4, they're just like, have him.
Yeah,
you know
bro.
what I mean? So
because this is a really
Tino this year, he was a slow burn into the season. So
no, we're talking about Tino in a bit. Yeah, there's so much to discuss around that topic. I don't want to kind of delay the video anymore. But one thing I want to mention is like someone
chat, mate.
Someone spoke to me about timing of the season. Like in week 4, mate, everyone can still win, and everyone's fresh and they're, for lack of a better word, mate, they're horny for it. They love it. They've just drafted their team. They've got hope, mate. They still have hope, and that's when their new guy they drafted isn't performing. They're pissed off. Round 18, 17, you've had your injuries, you've had Origin, you're kind of a bit rusted on. You can kind of go, oh, well, we'll just see what happens. You're not as keen. Whereas week 4, week 3, that's when you got to strike, just to your point. All right, next guy, mate. It is, I'll just wax lyrical for a bit. It's my boy, Keanu Kinney. I had him as a value fullback, meaning I had him ranked pretty high because what I wanted the board to reflect was if he's available after a certain point, just get him. Because the way the board works is you would block out players that were taken. I had him high as like a priority, right? I think some people who play snakes probably misinterpreted that, took him a little bit early, but there's a lot to talk about here because fundamentally, mate, Keanu Kinney is the top owned player in top teams in the Oracle. So amongst 30 plus players, all of the league maps that have a ladder position of 1 to 2, I think, first and second, Keanu Kinney has represented the most of any other player, meaning people took him, and Oracle users are most likely from our community, obviously. They are in the Discord, they're on the Substack, they're watching the YouTube, whatever. So people took my word or similar word on the value of him, knowing what he was in 24, and they knew the injury meant he was really cheap in leagues because people didn't value him. He's on the Titans, people don't value that, but he didn't play Origin. He wasn't going to play Origin, obviously, as a Kiwi player. And we knew what he could be, and he has just turned up. And once Ilias got dropped, mate, averaging 81, obviously that's dropped a bit last week because he scored a 60-something, and that's dropped down a bit. But we get the point, right? If your fullback's averaging 80, you're doing all right. Like, it's pretty damn good.
For sure.
She's averaging 66 or something shithouse. So Kinney has been there. He's played every bloody game. From round 13 to 22, he's averaging 85. And the start of the season, even when he averaged a low 66, he hit you a 150, which won you a week, and I think he hit a 90 or something in there too. So he probably won you 2 weeks. And I know Kinney owners are doing quite well because he's just been there with a high floor with 250 plus games, which win you those weeks 9 times out of 10, and a lot of other like 90s and 80s. I've done posts on him as well around, he just is an elite fullback in every way apart from try scoring. He just doesn't cross the line at that clip that Teddy, Ponga do to take them into the next extra tier, that top tier. But he's right there. Yeah. If the team improves enough next year and they're mid-table and they're scoring tries and he's part of it, bro, he's different. So this was a hit, man. In round 10, the amount of whinging about Kinney, amongst myself as well, I owned him still then, it was just through the roof. And the lesson is that attacking players in bad teams suffer. Look at Val Holmes. So you have to go, if this team's crap, I just have to fade them. As much as I love this player, there's going to be that many games they're stuck under the posts and on the back foot.
Yes.
You have to fade them. And that's something I didn't really think about when evaluating Kinney.
I've been doing that for a long time, mate. I've been doing that for a long time. That's definitely a huge lesson for anybody. That's been sort of my strategy for a lot of years is, if I'm going to take players in bad teams, man, I'm only taking a few players, you know what I mean? And they're going to be They have to be like at least the top 3 in that team.
Yeah.
So,
and to be fair to
definitely,
Kinney, he's in the top 3 in that team, but they were so diabolical at the start of the year. Look at him now, though. He's averaging 85.
Yeah.
But it's not about not going for your guys. Like Kinney was a guy I wanted for multiple reasons. It's about just factoring a little bit more of that in. Whereas it's so easy for me to go, I'm evaluating this player in a good team and I'm going to pay for them. Sometimes you got to do it in reverse.
Yeah.
It's just a good refresher, like Val Holmes as well. There's a few other guys that sort of fall into that category. Even Drinky, like I think the Dragons could be pretty good next year, and then, or will they be bad and therefore you fade him? But if they're a bit better than his cows have been, does he do better? I don't know. Like it's something to just think about when you're evaluating those guys. So, Kinney, this is a hit for me. He's been terrific, really, for owners. All things considered, with injuries to Tommy and Ponga in and out, Reece Walsh flopping hard. Even Teddy going to Origin. Edwards has been injured now when the whips are cracking, and he hasn't been great. Edwards, Kinney's the new Edwards. He's actually been amazing. He's a top 5 fullback. I'd love to do an evaluation after a few weeks, Kinney v Drinky, when a bit more games have been played. Not the end of the season, because who knows when they check out, but just get to that. Cowboys bye next week, 24 or 25. 25. Cowboys 25. Bye. Get to 25, and I'm going to have a deep dive on Kinney v Drinky, because if he beats Drinky, who's done a bit of goal kicking, has way more flair, it's an amazing outcome on the year for Kinney. Chase Tino was a miss for me. New coaches have unpredictable patterns. This is big for middle forwards in the impact game. But if we just look at when his knee came good, he's averaging 75 from round 10 onwards. So, and I had him predicted, as you can see there, at the 73 average, and I still liked him at a 73. And he's really benefited from just, the team doing a bit better, the same as Kinney. But I had him as a miss because I was high on him. I loved the duel, which he got, and then that was epic, right? Having him in that front row spot's epic. And he was a great buy low who delivered, as opposed to kind of buy lows in that kind of Reece Walsh area that haven't. But just another new coach one. Just be careful just with those patterns, and don't get too caught up in that.
Yeah.
I had Fade Ola with no DC, which was a huge miss, flat out miss. I over-indexed on his shoulder injury too. If a guy has a shoulder injury and goes off to preseason, they're going to come back pretty decent. Don't really think about it. And I missed on a nick or a bounce back. The lesson is, let's it be someone else's win in a position with so much value. So taking Nickera meant that I lost a bench spot to miss out on late stashes in the draft, like an Ethan Strange, who would have been good for me, or a Tolo Cooler, who got drafted way later in my league, because we play auction. It's all about nomination order, not about snake. So I burnt a bench spot just trying to get in the mix, and it was basically like a blocker in my bench to stash better players with the money I had at that point in the draft, and it cooked me. And my feeling is these mid-round 2RFs that you think might bounce back, just if you're not playing snake's a bit different, but if you're playing my format, auction, just let someone else maybe take that risk and focus more on proven in other positions, because 2RFs just pop up everywhere. Get a gun one and then just leave it alone, as opposed to stacking it. So huge miss there, and Ola just a flat out miss. There's not a lot there. Anything you want to mention here, mate? I can't imagine.
I drafted Ola. I'm pretty happy.
Would you go pay for him next year, or let someone else kind of overpay and go for your next prediction?
Look, I've always been a big admirer of his game anyway. So I mean, I probably would pay for him again, but I'm not going to be paying first round for him. No way. No. So if he goes in the first round, then it is what it is. Yeah, 100%. And he deserves it. I mean, he's been that good this year, but at the same time, as you said, I would rather just pick me battles with the 2RF later in the draft.
Yeah, it's just too much value in that spot, mate. I just can't believe. Look at Hamish Stewart.
100%.
Fade, Karaz, and Val. So I hit this. I had them ranked at the top because they deserve to be where they were in terms of their tier bucket. But the orange highlight on my board is my Fade. And I just wasn't touching them. They're in that group, but yeah, Val, whatever. I didn't mind him when I spoke about him with the goal kicking stuff, but I just decided that someone else would pay overs for him, and they did. And Karaz, I just don't do injuries. And I thought he'd play Origin. I just thought he'd miss games, and I just didn't know his role. I didn't know his critter going to be the fullback sweeping. Is Karaz going to go left, right? Remember, he was getting flopped around.
Yeah.
They've both actually been Val's been a miss from his draft price, but he's done a little bit here and there in games. And Karaz has actually been kind of okay, but a headache for owners. So this was a pretty easy one. This is not it's not like low-hanging fruit, but I just want to be clear that these guys are good players and they're in this right tier. I had them in above Casey, who if didn't go to Origin would be much better, but Origin's cooked him, and KL, who's been mediocre with some nice moments here and there, and played some goodbye coverage, Kyle, but not been great. So it's the right bracket. I was glad I just faded them because I just didn't want that drama. Any thoughts here, mate?
I own 3 of those guys in that bracket there. I drafted Carraz and McLean. I've recently acquired Hero, and him going down with that HIA last week really sucks because obviously they got the Dragons this week, mate, and that's just so annoying. And obviously Casey going down too, so not ideal, but that's the game.
Next year, mate, are you taking Val in this tier with the Dragons getting an improvement?
No, I don't care. I'd rather it just be someone else's. Probably he's going to be a year older as well, mate. At sometimes this year, I know the Dragons have been bad, but he actually legit looked cooked. You know what I mean? He's obviously still a good enough talent to still be good in games, but there were some games here that it was literally almost going to be tap on the shoulder. You may as well retire, mate. So I couldn't own him. I wouldn't want that. I just think there's too many younger and better guys in better teams that I would rather target in CT Dub.
Would you take Carraz earlier than the 3rd round next year?
Probably not, because it's not really. It's not like I can say that it's a true formula of my strategy, but I sort of start looking at CTWs at around that 4th, 5th round, because you just find that in the first 3 rounds, especially in my league, and I guess you got to adapt to how your league drafts as well. But my league is really, they really want your fullbacks, your halves, even hookers. People will grab the spine. They just go after that, and then the odd guy will pick a front rower or a second rower way too early, and you end up getting to the 4th round, and you're just look at all these guys that are still CT Dubs that are in the 4th and 5th round, and you're already looking at, I'm going back to back here in 4 and 5, and I'm going to go CT Dub because I really feel like that position is so key now. It never used to be. You used to be able to just grab anybody. You know what I mean? But now having that top tier, or even just a high averaging, high base power sort of CTW, it just makes such a big difference because you don't get all those little 20s and 10s from your Khan Pereiras and that sort of player. You just don't get those anymore if you've picked correctly in your CT Dubs. So that's just not how I play. But
in Snake Draft, I think you've got to definitely try and get a name. But for me, if I just share the next slide here, is some upside punts I had, some guys like Cobbo and Toya I loved, late in this bracket here.
Yeah.
Even Talangi, Tamale, obviously had a rough go, and Karapani suffered from the Broncos. But I was big on Cobbo and Toya. Look at them now. If you were trotting them out as your 1 and 2 in a 4-man, you'd be stoked. Dude, they were going out the arse in Snakes. In auction, they're they're a handful of dollars each. I think Cobbo was, a couple of dollars, and Toya was a bit more because he's a Queenslander. Some of the boys were getting a bit fiery for him in my world, up in Brizzy.
Yeah.
But mate, next year again, I'm just fading CT Dub. If I don't get Herbie for a good price, and maybe I'll get Casey out of the heart pick, but everyone else can take all those random ones and just go. Because dude, I faded it in the community league, and I've got right now Bostock, Jenkins, Talangi, Rinakama, and I've had to drop a few guys. I could have had a bunch of other better guys if I had better luck with injuries, but I've had a lot of injuries. I'm sweet, and I didn't draft it. I drafted Stags, bro, and CT Dub.
That name you just said then, that Rinakama, I feel like there's a breakout coming too.
Did you see my Instagram post on him?
I actually have missed that one. But
no, it's okay. Don't stress. I just want to let you know. Yeah, because if you
I'll have a look now. No, I'm keen on him now. Don't get me wrong. I feel like he will be sort of that, rocks or diamonds sort of scoring player.
Yep.
But if the Dogs can fix
Right.
their issues next year, and their D stays stable, and they can have a lot more possession, then I really like what he has to offer on that edge.
Yeah, man. He's currently occupying a pretty sweet zone when it comes to like the top CT dubs, like just with his like running yardage game, with the tackle busting that he kind
He'll
of
be value
can
next year
display.
too.
Yeah, no one will know him. In fact, like he's nearly not worth drafting in my comp because you waste a spot because the guys don't know him. I can just get him off freeze like a few weeks in. But what it is with Burton going to centre, it's a much better ball player there to shift on to him. Like he's just cashing in on the attraction that, dude, if Critter into Kikau into Burton, the defense just has to get sucked in. He should finish the year strong. And unfortunately, the problem that I've got is in the community league, I had to drop him to field some other stuff, and the boys just snap him up because, I'm always talking about this stuff with waivers and that. So it's frustrating. Whereas in the home league, I've got him stashed away all safe. Sweet there. Just the boon list. So guys on the board I had like with a mark saying I thought they'd be pretty good. Kinney's a hit. Yo, bit of a miss on Yo. Yo's scoring's actually been sick, but just with Origin, bro, like I'm just going to say it's a miss, but his scoring has been better than it was. Actually, no, he's a hit because last year he was like a 60 average, and then this year it's like 70 plus or something, isn't it, when he's healthy? Or has he dropped a bit? So that's like a hit. For Feeder, I was wrong. McLean was good, but Origin cooked it. Alamotti was good. He booned. He was really good off his last year stuff. Hopawade was decent. Staggs a miss. Tupou a miss, mostly due to injury. Iongi a hit. Dry Gray was a massive miss. Talangi, I thought he'd be much better. Talangi was probably a miss, all things considered, even though I like him a lot. Galvin was a big hit. Toby, Couchman, KPP, Nicholson a miss due to injury. Duncan a hit. IPAP, Mooney, McEwen a miss. Shibber a miss. Cobbo a hit. Toya a miss. Maju a hit. Pompey's are just put in there for a joke. I sort of quite liked Pompey. I thought he could benefit out there, and he's kind of had some games recently, but he's not really relevant. And Lindsay Smith was a big miss. Anyone in there you wanted to touch on?
No, they're all correct. Yeah. Lindsay Smith was killing me for most of the season.
Bro, wasn't it sad what he could be?
There's just been nothing. Like the front row spot has been diabolical this year on waivers. So that's the only reason he has been in my team from day dot. And
yeah, he's got a couple games out of. Oh no, because you don't play buys, so you didn't even get to cash them in.
No, I didn't even get. Oh, I might have got one that just come off the back of the one where just didn't. Yeah, or something like that. But not many.
Fade list. I had Terrell faded a bit, and that was probably wrong, all things considered. But when I heard the back injury rumors, I panicked and I faded him a bit too hard. But I've got him now, so it shows like you got to be adaptable.
He's off the ball now, though.
Yeah, a little bit. Tarpanay faded. I'm happy with that. Hughes faded. Munster I got wrong. He's actually been real good. Sewer I got wrong, as we mentioned. Ola I got wrong. Huddy Young I got wrong. That was a big finals and Origin one, which he did go to Origin. He does have a finals bye. Then he had a season-ending injury, so it's like I got it right, but his scoring I got wrong, so I'm not going to claim it as a right. But that's just one to talk about. Hopgood I got that right. I was not big on Hopgood, but again, injury, so you can't really claim it too hard. But Horsburgh I was wrong. Barnett I think I was right. Moses I was right. Fogarty I was right, fading him. He had some moments, but he's been pretty average. Icat he's been average. Dearden I got way wrong, dude. Massive whiff on Dearden.
I would have had Dearden as well.
I thought he'd be bad, but he was an epic. Karaz, I got... I think I got Karaz right. Like, I don't think he's been what he could be. I think he's averaging decently, but then the year before it wasn't like quite high. So I think I'll claim Karaz, claim Holmes. I got Sharp wrong. Latrell I got right because I faded him purely on injury. And I was the wrongest guy on earth for 10 freaking rounds. And now people are like, oh yeah, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
And hey, like...
100%.
Yeah, like you can't predict the future, but dude, I just didn't want to deal with that. And there you go. Like that's Latrell for me. He plays 10 games a year and I'm not interested. Garrick's been mediocre. Brimson's been bad. Ezra's been mediocre. Tommy Turbo I faded and that was right. Ponga I was wrong. Hammer I don't know why I ticked Hammer as a fade because I don't think I didn't mean that. That's wrong. That should be a cross. Hammer's been fine. That's Jaden. Which one's Jaden Sewer? No, I had Jaden Sewer as a decent because I drafted him. So I've obviously stuffed something up here. My bad with the two Sewers. KO Weeks, he's been bad. Johnson, I was wrong. And Best, I was wrong. Best has played more than I thought he would. He's injury prone for sure, but he's been a beast when he plays. And Johnson's been epic. So, I got a lot wrong on the fades. I faded too many people too hard, I think, there.
Yeah.
Now, I want to quickly do this one. Top waiver pickups of the week. Just running through approximately each guy for approximately each week. This is the type of stuff you could have had in your team if you followed my content, basically. Twal, Chester, Willison, Stewart, Timoko. And this is like roughly in order, right?
Yeah.
Oli
I know
Pascoe,
what you mean.
Bostock, Aramaho, Bai, I got wrong. Hosking, TMM, Iongi, Dylan Egan's actually kind of been mid, but I like him. Katonga,
Yeah, I like him too.
Tavita Nafahu, Tungo, I got wrong. Tungo, Barnett kind of actually been okay, but recently not so good. Noel Martin, injury prone. And I had Noel Martin earlier as well, sorry, but recently again had him and he was good and then went down. Tyron was good. Aitken not as good. And Francis Manuelella. So like, guys, if you want to fix your team or win, you follow content, you listen to the analysis on the Tuesday night video, and these are the names you could have, even if you had 4 of these guys, you've just fixed your 4 mistakes in draft. It's that simple. Yeah, there is someone from every single position named here, guys, that I have spoken about and said waiver for them and helped you get these guys. And that's why people in the Discord have said, oh, I was cooked in round before Origin and now I'm like winning, or I was cooked here and now I'm second and I'm making finals, because they played the game and followed the content and were part of the community. So I wanted to talk about this as a big thing around just transparency and me summarizing kind of the regular season is these names. There's only like 2 major misses, which was Tungo because of like his performances, but he still played, and everything was with caveat with him saying like this could be a 3-week runway, and he was pretty shit. Cooper Bai, I whiffed hard on. I was big on him, and because I saw the line breaks and thought the minutes would be there, and he just was nothing. But everyone else, dude, are epic, and that's how I've survived the community league, because I've done things like Xavier, Bostock. I got in there early. I got Noel Martin early in there. I've stashed like Paddy in there against guys that are sharp. The dudes in there are sick players. They're better than me, and I've won that comp. Oh, not won it, but I'm in the top table mix because of this sort of stuff that people can jump on. Got Kaltonga in there too. So yeah, that's waivers, mate. Look, I think 46 minutes is perfect for a bit of a draft review. Obviously, not my strongest board given the changes to 6 agains. We just could not predict that. And that's just something that like I just can't, like the people I'm seeing review, talk about mistakes, they're just forgetting that the whole game changed. It is the worst year to punish yourself too hard for things you did, because the whole landscape shifted, and I've made posts and done the 6 again audit on it. So just pump the brakes, acknowledge the mistakes or the things you want to fix, but just chill on the analysis this year. It just hasn't been a fair, like you entered expecting, you wore a raincoat expecting it to rain, and it was a hot stinking day. So you just go, bastard, didn't know that was going to happen. Next year, all good, just reset. And we can just know that upside's back on the menu, boys. It's all good. We'll draft accordingly. I just think there's just way too much hindsighting on it when you just didn't know the whole refereeing and scoring landscape around momentum would change, which just blew everything out. Yeah. Any last thoughts from you, mate, heading into
I agree everything you just said then. Yeah, I mean, you don't punish yourself for any of the mistakes. This was always going to be a bit of a transition year because we were going to a new stats provider as well. So, look, we're just going to take this year with a grain of salt and try to prep it a little bit better next year.
That's it. And we're in the mix, which is the main thing. Like, you're in finals, I'm in finals everywhere. Like, it's happy days. We keep rolling. We just hope that other people have had some success. Mate, we're going to stop this one here, guys. If you are watching this video shortly after, i.e. a day or 2 later, there'll be a follow-up video where Griff and I are just going to look at each other's teams, have a bit of a chat around what we think each other are looking forward to in finals. Do we have a shot? Like, what's the deal? Really short video, a bit of fun pointing towards the next couple of weeks, because it will be our last recording together, Griff and I, because hey, it's finals. There's not much to really be said. We'll be DM each other, but there's just not much more videos we can make. So we're going to record that one as a part of this one. But check the channel out. You'll see it somewhere in the end here to watch that video after. But hopefully you enjoyed this recap. There's a lot of misses. There's some fun hits. Just a really tough year to make content and stand on business about with things changing. But I'm proud of what I got right, and I'm not ashamed of what I got wrong. That's just a part of being up here and doing the thing, trying to help people. And I know the community's awesome. They haven't punished me too hard. They've been super appreciative of all the help afterwards, because hey, you don't lose your draft really in the first couple of, you definitely don't win your draft in the first couple of picks, but you can sort of lose it if you get it wrong. And I try to have a high floor and tell the guys, avoid Tommy Turbo, boys, and you should be sweet. And they've done that, and so happy days. So all right, mate. Let's move on to our next topic. I'm just going to do a 3-second pause, bro.
Yeah.